Good food, music, companionship, simple pleasures. These things, in their ingenuineness, give Venus and Taurus people pleasure. It gives them meaning in life. It gives them joy in life. Venus and Taurus people can also handle money exquisitely well. They're good at making it, but they may spend it on luxury items that may catch their attention on the Olin buys. I'm Edward Curdy, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing the in-depth meaning of Venus, the planet of love and beauty, and its rulership sign, of course, and its planetary domicile in Taurus, and what it means if you have Venus in Taurus in your birth chart. So, this placement is really a lot about the planet Venus because it isn't its sign of rulerships. Of course, those traits are going to overlap naturally. And so, if you have Venus in Taurus, you're either a Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, or Cancer. And you're most compatible with individuals who have Venus in Virgo, or Capricorn, or Pisces, or Cancer. Now, Venus in Scorpio might be a little bit challenging because it's the opposite sign, and Venus in Scorpio is very deep and very intense, and Taurus is very light and lively and sensual. So that may come as being problems in the near future. But anyway, delving into Venus and Taurus, very first thing we have to note is that they're very hyper aware of all the things that they can engage in on the material level. They're hyper aware of their five senses, particularly taste and touch are besides here, but any one of the five senses. They will do things, they will seek out pleasure, they will go in the directions to satisfy their five senses. That is of utmost importance to them on a matter of value and love, which is Venus ruled. So, they can really work their magic in the material world, and they are known for their stability, their need to create stability, and they need to create security in life. They may indulge in extravagances, and they know how to indulge their five senses, especially more than others. That becomes of utmost importance. Sitting in a Epsom salt bath, um, getting pampered, getting a massage, going to the spa, eating in a really fancy restaurant, going to the expensive clothes stores and buying that new dress or buying that new suit if you're a male. These kind of things. They enjoy indulging in extravagance and spending their money on these very expensive, high quality beauty objects. Um, that is their motto. Now, they want to be with someone who will enjoy all of life's pleasures with them. Companionship is very important. Togetherness is very important. They're finding their own, they're finding with somebody else. And so they can share the experience of enjoying all the physical pleasures from listening to music or playing music or singing. They may have a very strong voice if you have Venus in Taurus. Um, Engaging the five senses through art, through things like pottery and painting. I mean, you could, and through food, of course. So these ways of enjoying physical pleasure. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention physical touching and sex. Sex is very important to Venus and Taurus individuals because they need that togetherness, they need the connection, and they connect in others through a physical and material level, as opposed to something more emotional, something more intuitive based like Venus and Cancer. Venus and Taurus is doing it for the security aspect of it and the sensuality aspect of it. Now, they can be, and this also depends on other factors in the chart, they can be um, people who really, really have a love of self-expression in all forms, through dancing, through music, through writing, through speaking. There's a love for this kind of thing. There's a very, very into it quality with this kind of thing. Um, so physical connection and closeness in relationships is very, very important. They may also be very generous people, gift giving, finding this gift and giving it to somebody to show how much they care. They show people that they care through practical means, through giving, through anything having to do with the five senses of giving in that kind of way. Um, and so that may be really, really high up in the charts for them. They're all about the motto of Taurus is slow and steady wins the race, and this becomes amplified and specified with Venus and Taurus on the matter of love and value. Slow and steady relationships, you're getting to the person slowly and steadily. You're getting to understand them at a deep level in a slow and steady way, enjoying the slowness and the relaxation in the moment of relationships. So they approach relationships slow and steady. They take a while to get to know you before making big plans. They really evaluate and be very, very deliberate and purposeful on whom they plan to invest their time and energy in, really thinking it through before they do. And it's worth mentioning here that one of the deficits of this placement is being very, very particular, very nitpicky at their partner. And this could be Venus in Virgo, which I'm going to talk about that when we get to Venus in Virgo. That pickiness, but this placement can also be fairly particular about who they want to invest their time and energy in, but that conversation will save till we get there. But so anyway, um, long-term relationships is very, very important to them. Not short relationships, not buzz in, buzz offs, not spud in, spud offs, but really, really big, huge, long-term relationships is huge for them. Now, they may be very dedicated and loyal as a partner, very dedicated to whom they are engaged in, who they are with, they're spending their time with. They're very dedicated. They're very protective over them. They're very loyal towards them. Now, one of the downsides of this placement is Taurus can dig in its heels. It is the most stubborn out of the fixed signs. It is resistant to any kind of change to its routine, change to its environment, change to its enjoying the simple pleasures of life. Resistance to change is their caveat, is their downside, that they don't do well with change easily. They're not the most flexible people in the whole wide world. So when approaching change, you want to do it very slowly, cautiously, and deliberately, one step at a time for them to really adjust that change. But it's important to be detached and to enjoy things without having to own them, to enjoy that life, the only constant in life is change. And so learning Taurus can evolve through Scorpio in that kind of way. So maybe a Venus and Scorpio person will be very, very good for Venus and Taurus, or someone with a lot of strong Scorpio energy to help them evolve into the highest version of themselves. They're into the essential parts of the material world. That Epato Castado. Now, they may be into very aesthetics. They want their environment to be very aesthetically pleasing, a beautiful aesthetic environment. They're willing to do anything that makes the environment beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. Um, and they value stability in their relationships. That's very, very important to them that they have that. The enjoyment of the material world is very important. They may enjoy art and music or anything creative. Um, Love and romance may be a really, really big thing for them in their life. Um, and they're dedicated to their routines. I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I have my coffee, I then go out and walk on nature, and then I read, and then I just work around the house. Like this whole routine, this whole structure to their day is what they are devoted to, is what they are dependent on. And so, very big value to them is their routines, is their habits. They're sensible and realistic. That's been very important to note about them. The comforts of home are very important because they can go out and have a lot of fun. But home is very important. The bed sheets, the clothes that they can wear at home, the home cooked meals, the cuddling, the kisses, the hugs, all these comforts of home, all these Cancerian comforts. In love, in matters of love, they can be pretty fixed, which they can also be pretty rigid, but they can be fixed when it comes to whom they love. Or, I love you and I'm completely devoted to you, I'm completely dedicated to you, and I'm determined to make this relationship work. The cream of the crop as it can work. You know, it's where they find this encapsulating detail of what they're trying to go up against. They're going up against enemies. They're going up against those who don't support their relationship choices by showing them I can have this really successful relationship and I cannot go off and date other people. I cannot go off and make the partner jealous. I can show them that I can be 100% invested in this relationship. So they want to provide others with the finer things in life, buying clothes for them, buying, whatever it is. Now they may become shallow, they may become materialistically focused in judging people not because of the content of their character, but because of their fashion choice, because of their physical appearance, not getting to know them for whom they truly are on a soul level. Scorpio. Instead, Taurus, material world, getting too caught up in that. But see beyond that external beauty to what is within, to what is divine, to whom they truly are. They're as solid as a rock. They're drawn to comfort and pleasures. They're very loyal, very caring, very protective of whom they love. They may be artistically talented, may have a way with their hand, be good at painting or singing or dancing, whatever it is. They're grounded and practical. They enjoy the simple pleasures in life. They may have a beautiful physical appearance, maybe look very attractive, look very stunning. Um, they're peace loving. They're a peace lover. They want peace and harmony. They want stability and security there with peace. And I know that my grandpa, who has passed now, was a Taurus who had Sun, Mars, Uranus, all in Taurus, so a Taurus stellium. And he was all about peace. Lilith in Libra, also another indicator of deeply wanting peace and harmony. And my grandma, who is very compatible with him, is a Pisces sun. So Venus rules Taurus, Venus is exalted in Pisces. So both Venusian compatible placements. The only one missing is a Libra. That's the only thing. And they're the mega peacemakers. They're the official peacemakers. But Venus and Taurus people can be pretty easygoing, pretty laid back. They have a very strong sense of self-worth and self-esteem, with self-worth becomes very important to them. Now, another trait that is worth mentioning here is that Venus and Taurus people are very good with finances and money. They're good at managing it, saving it. They're very resourceful. They're good at making money. All the kind of thing. Money is their wheelhouse. They may spend the money on the things that like their senses. Their physical environment may be very important to their well-being. Incredibly pedantic. They want, as I've said before, They appreciate beauty and things that are very expressive or expensive. They're highly materialistic. They're all about enjoying the small moments in life, from that cup of coffee you have, to the feel of the clothes on your skin, to the touch of the grass in the backyard, to the petting of the dog. These simple, small moments in life is what they, um, enjoy. They may enjoy music and dance, anything creative. They may also really value their time in nature because forest rules nature and they have a love for nature. They're romantic in a very practical way. That might be their spiritual default practice is getting out of nature. They're very loyal and very reliable. Loyal and reliable. Those are two very, very huge traits with them. Um, and they're very committed in relationships, as I said before. And they take care of their lover on every level, emotionally, physically, mentally, on every level. They're there for them to the better end. So that is all I have to say on Venus and Taurus. I hope that you enjoyed this rather in-depth delve, deep dive into Venus and Taurus in the birth chart. Let me know if you find a video that is shorter or longer to this by linking it in the comments section below for me to check out. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell. My next video will be on the astrology for the week of October 5th through 11th, I believe. Um, yeah, 5th through 11th. So tune in for that video coming up in a couple of days. My next video in the series of Venus through the Signs is Venus in Gemini in the chart, which is my natal Venus placement. So I'll be really delving into that when we get there. Anyway, have a great, wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it is where you are. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.